I stared at the engine on my hands, its hum a muted echo of the thousand arguments I'd endlessly rehearsed. This isn't real asterisk, I told myself. This is just another story to ruin my family's credibility. But those words were just the pieces of a larger puzzle, each one a brick in the wall that had once blocked my path. The laughter, the ridicule, the silent whispers that labeled me a failure. I'd spent years dismissing them, clinging to the belief that my dreams were a mistake, a foolish clutch of excuses. Yet here I was, staring at the engine like it held the power to rewrite my story. Back home, I'd finally figured it out. I'd returned to the old orchard where my family had once laughed in a school playground, slapping ether onto a grin and declaring, "This is gonna be asterisk epic asterisk." But that day had been different. Not the triumphant moment when I gleaned honey from a hive, nor the proud cheeks as I stepped onto the stage, my voice trembling but unbroken. That day had been a wake-up call. They'd called it dream filler, unprofessional, a waste of time, and they'd made it a habit to hand me a textbook on botany while I sat there heart heavy. Now, standing here, I was a stranger. The orchard was still there, but it felt like a second skin. The bees buzzed around me like a chorus of forgotten secrets, their pollen-rich bodies weaving patterns that no one could ignore. I had turned their skepticism into something sacred, and in doing so made them see the world they'd never seen before. My mind raced. What's the point? They'd thought I was wasting time, but I knew better. This wasn't about me, it was about the future. The path had been strange, but it felt right. I'd left the classroom with a notebook full of ideas, convinced that urban ecology was the future. I'd traded textbooks for workshops, learning to read the language of pollinators, the delicate dance between bees and the concrete jungle. Others had scoffed. Bees aren't for city dwellers, they'd said. They're just pests, I had replied. No, they're the thegesists, the unsung heroes of our survival. But some days the silence between us felt heavy. My parents would visit, their faces a mix of concern and nostalgia. They remembered the way I'd murmur about the small things, how bees built their homes, how flowers remembered their names. They didn't know the truth, that I'd once been mocked for realizing the same truth I'd been dismissed. One afternoon, as I tended to a particularly stubborn patch of wildflowers, their heads brushing against my hand, my mother's voice cut through the silence. "You're doing this for me?" she asked, her eyes soft. I hesitated, then nodded. She didn't understand the science, but she understood the purpose. "You're changing the world, little botanist, but you have to remember why you started." I looked at her, truly looked at her, and she exchanged a glance that spoke of generational wounds and unspoken pride. "You're welcome, Moms." The camera lingered on her face, a silent promise that even in the face of ridicule we had found each other. Years had passed. The orchard had grown into a thriving ecosystem, a testament to my resilience. The bees, once dismissed as insignificant, now thrived in the city's forgotten corners, their hives a hidden symphony of life. I had turned their mockery into a movement, and in doing so earned their respect. But the greatest triumph wasn't in the honey or the flowers, it was in the silence that followed. The car doors creaked as my father opened, his face etched with the weight of years. "You did it?" he asked, his voice steady. "I did," I said. "But I didn't do it alone, we all had to." He sat beside me, his fingers brushing the last leaf I had snapped, a small but vivid reminder of what had been lost. "You were always right," he said, "even when no one else had. But now I'm proud." That moment, tears in his eyes, the weight of a lifetime of unspoken words, was the fever dream of the moment. It wasn't just about success, it was about understanding that true worth isn't measured by what others think, but by the impact we create. As I stood in that car, the sunset painting the sky in hues of gold and rose, I realized something profound. The family had been right about one thing: I had never failed. I had just found a way to redefine what failure meant. And in that moment I understood. The universe had a way of giving back, not as a favor but as a lesson, a reminder that even the most mocked dreams can take root, bloom, and transform a life. The flowers gave fruit. The bees buzzed in harmony, and I finally felt free.